We will then entertain questions from the audience. Any member of the audience is entitled to ask one question. We ask that you line up here. You can choose the candidate you wish to have the question answered by. There's no way one question can be answered by 9 candidates and still have any time left for a second question. So if there's any question about that candidate, you have 2 minutes to answer any question, at which time Mrs. Curlin will announce time, and that is the end of your answer period. Okay, so 3 minutes to start. We're going to go in alphabetical order, and our first speaker tonight will be William Armbruster.
It's better to use the mic.
If you can't hear me, please raise your hand. Thank you. My name is William Armbruster, 3rd generation here in Coconut Grove. I've seen many of the changes that has happened to this community and the city of Miami and the county as well. And we talk about change, but we don't necessarily need change. We just need to move in a direction that is beneficial for the city of Miami as a whole. And I'm the only person that's qualified and able to get that done. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Javier Gonzalez.
That was quick, though. Can you give me more time? Hi, my name is Javier Gonzalez, and I wrote a great speech. I wrote this speech that told a great story about an American dream. I had a kid coming from Cuba in 1965, growing up in the Grove, growing up poor, going to public schools, playing in public parks, taking public transportation. Also tells a story about how I became a business guy. I've been in it for 35 years. I became the youngest sales manager in Jordan Marshall's history, for those of you who've been around for a while. Also tells a story about how I ran a bakery for, 20 years, and how I prospered, and how I sold, and how I dealt with big companies such as Publix, Dixie, Albertsons, U.S. Foods. It also tells you a story about how I became a real estate agent. My father-in-law always said that I would be really good at it. And you know what? I am. I take great pride in taking care of my customers, some of which are here in the audience, and it's great to see you. So it's a great story about an American dream, and it also tells a story about how I became chair of the village council when I ran for public office. And I became the chair, and I solved a lot of the problems. There were a lot of questions that a lot of people had for me. So it's a great story. Maybe one day I'll turn it into a book. People ask me all the time, why am I running for this position? It's a difficult position. It's not easy. It's thankless. You sit on this side of the podium and you get abused all day. So it's very, very difficult. It's very, very complex. So people always ask me, why? Why are you running? I say, you know what? Because people asked me to. Once people met me, once people got to know me, once people saw how engaged I was, they said, Hop, why don't you run, man? Why don't you do it? Why don't you get out there? I said, you know what? I will. Tell me something else. He says, Hop, what are you passionate about? And I said, you know what? It's not my job to be passionate. My job is to make sure that your passions are taken care of, that your questions are addressed, that your needs are met. That's what my job is as a commissioner. I work for you. It's not the other way around. So what I give you, what I promise you, the only promise I can give you, because everything we're dealing with is super complex. Traffic can't be solved overnight. No one has a magic bullet for it. Development can't be done overnight. All of these topics take time. They take meetings. They take a lot of effort to make sure. And they're all complex. They all involve state, county, federal. It's very, very difficult. So this is what I can offer you. I can offer you my sincere passion, what I love to do, problem solve, what I am good at. What I can offer you is me. I can offer you me for 4 years, for public office. I'm here. If you want change, this is the time. This is the opportunity that we have to make it happen. So please, on November 3rd, I ask for your vote, I ask for your support, and like I tell everybody, I ask for your questions and your concerns. That's what I'm here for. Again, thank you.
1 second to spare. Well done. There are a couple of empty chairs for those of you standing around who would like to sit. There are a couple of chairs in the first row, 3 to be exact, so feel free to grab them up. Our next speaker tonight will be Rosa Palomino.
First off, I want to thank
I am a lifelong resident of the Grove. My family came here from New York. My father worked for a restaurant and associates up in New York City, and he taught me the importance of customer service, attention to detail, and working like a horse. I can tell you I ran a multinational. I am a veteran educator. I am an entrepreneur. I have traveled the world. I have family living all over the world. And I want you to know that I am your answer. I am the ideas and solution and common sense handmade. I am not on the job training. I have secured historic designations for Simpson Park. It took me 2 years. I have opened up, I have actually been involved in securing grants with Chief Timoney with Crime Watch back in the day. The first and only Virginia Key Family Barbecue was secured by me. I brought the Marlins Foundation to the inner city to work with the schools, I believe 5 years now. My presentations have been used by the University of Miami School of Architecture and also, believe it or not, by the city of Miami Parks to train their staff. I have presented all sorts of presentations, not only in parks and green space. I am also a survivor of toxicity. I went septic, lost twins, lost my husband, 38 years, who was an assistant principal, to environmental cancer. I am not on the job training. This is a moral obligation. I have been here my entire life. I am only representing you. I am not working for any law firms. I am not representing clients. I have no kids. I have a rescue dog. I have no baggage. And yes, I am an animal activist. You better believe it. And I am fighting turf in dog parks as we speak. I am not on the job training. I'm also the creator and producer of Miami After Dark Radio, and that is the only Bloomberg affiliate, Thursday at 10, where every cause in this city has been discussed. Please peruse the archives. And I want you to please look at the qualifications, as I am the most qualified candidate standing here before you. Do your homework. I am not on the job training. I don't have any interest except for you. I want to give you back your city as you deserve. This is not my district. This is your district. It belongs to you. So please empower yourself. And I really would love your vote November 3rd. Thank you very much. Thank you, the Sailing Club. Thank you, everyone that took the time to give us the time today. We look like the Mickey Mouse Club. I promise that, at least all of us up here want good things for the city. We want good things for you, more than anything.
Our next speaker will be Ken Russell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me. My name is Ken Russell. It's a pleasure to be here because I would really like to be your city commissioner. My life bio is on a piece of paper over the door, so I won't waste a lot of time on that. We don't have much. What I would like to tell you is why I'm running. I'm running because I had to. My experience with the city and with my commissioner, it drove me to get involved. It lit a fire under me. I'll tell you the story. I have 3 children, and one day my son and I, we left the front door of our house on Barbarossa and we saw Merry Christmas Park in front of our house closed and contaminated. Total surprise. We weren't trying to be park activists. My son and I just went down in the park and started asking questions of contractors. And the plan we heard of for the remediation was appalling. Even my 12-year-old son scratched his curly hair and said, "This is a stupid plan." So we talked to our commissioner, and we learned that yes, the city was trying to save money. They were going to save a buck at the expense of our health and home values. I said no. Commissioner Sarnoff told me that if I wanted a proper remediation, the neighbors would have to raise the money. I said no way. Finally, Commissioner Sarnoff came back to the table, and they did everything to remediate that park properly, but only under his promise that he had secured an anonymous donor to save the day. Well, guess what? That anonymous donor never existed. It doesn't exist. It never happened. So even when he tried to do the right thing, he did it in the wrong way. In all fairness, I know that Commissioner Sarnoff is not running in this election, so I shouldn't be picking on him. But Mrs. Sarnoff will get up tonight and she will tell you that she is her own person. I would like you to study all of the issues and see where that she differs from her husband. I would like you to study the financial reports, and you will see obscene amounts of money from developers and special interests who are actually devoted and waiting on what Commissioner Sarnoff will vote. They depend on it. There's a reason for term limits. It's to break these relationships that get too cushy over time. And I think we're seeing the term limits being circumvented here. Mrs. Sarnoff may also tell you tonight that the city is on the right track. Well, I ask you, is traffic worse than ever? It is, isn't it? Is overdevelopment out of control? What do you think? I know we can do better. The city of Miami can do better. It's time to turn the page. I've learned from my business background that it takes a strong leader. You have to be a good leader to take care of a city. And I didn't see that in my local government, and that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Teresa Sarnoff.
Thank you. And I feel like that was an introduction for me. But I think you should know that women have had the right to vote and hold office for almost 100 years.
Absolutely.
That being said, my name is Teresa Sarnoff, and I come from a family of 10 girls. Having that many siblings makes you tough, strong, independent, and able to make difficult decisions. I come from a loving family. We grew up sailing. That was our sport. My parents were avid sailors. In fact, they sold our family home to sail around the world and realize their long dream. Unfortunately, my father passed away halfway through the journey of a massive heart attack. My mother found the courage to continue. She continued the journey, and she is my inspiration. She's bold, she's daring, I'm proud of her, and she gives me the courage to stand here before you today. She finished her journey and sailed into Coconut Grove. There she fell in love with it. What's not to love? I've lived here over 35 years. I have fought beside many of you against Home Depot, against Mercy Hospital, and to bring the Playhouse back. I have volunteered for animal welfare groups and for the homeless, 2 groups with no voice. Being a member of this community, I have listened to the concerns of our quality of life. I've walked door to door across District 2 since February, and I've listened to those concerns. As your commissioner, my platform will be to reduce crime, reduce traffic, reduce government waste, and protect our natural resources. I'm a woman of few words. I believe in thoughtful planning and action. We need more police. We need more efficient government. We need to bring more transportation options. We need more green space. Join me, and let's make District 2 all that it can be. A place where we feel safe to go about our day-to-day activities. A place where we don't sit in traffic all day. A place where our tax dollars are maximized. And a place where our natural resources are considered precious. Miami is heading in a good direction, but there is more work to be done. Vote for me, and let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Grace Solares.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad to be here with you. Everybody has said how long they've been living in the Grove. Well, I've been living in Miami for 55 years, and 40 49 in the North Grove at the same house. Okay. I want to share with you part of my plan as to how I'm going to deal with the issues in the district and in the city of Miami. Because of the time limitations, I've chosen only 3 topics, and that is traffic and transportation and connectivity, smart growth, and people participation in the decision-making process of the government. The first thing we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is get that trolley, the city trolley, funded at all times. The second thing we need to do is connect that trolley with the Grove. And then you're probably asking, why? What is that going to do for us? I think what it's going to do for us is going to connect the world with the Grove and the Grove with the world. And we're not going to have to use our cars. We'll just up on it and then take it to the north and go shopping someplace else, or a restaurant someplace else, or the entertainment district someplace else. And at the same time, take the residents from the Edgewater, from Midtown, etc., to come down here and enjoy the Grove and enjoy and subsidize the businesses of the Grove. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And like I said, you're probably wondering, why is traffic and transportation the first thing that she's talking about? Because that is the fundamental thing that really, really affects the main thing in the city. And what is that? The need for smart growth. That is exactly what I've been fighting for almost 20 years through the neighborhoods of the city of Miami. And that is a very, very important that we actually address. Third, I believe the role of an elected official is not only to be the voice of the citizens, is to bring the community, the residents and the businesses alike, into the decision-making process of his or her vote. I can tell you, representatives of this district have never done that. I intend to do that, ladies and gentlemen, because that's what we, the people, have been asking for years. And I will do it for you, and I will do it for all of us. Based on the experience that I've had in Miami neighborhoods, the roads, I can tell you that true and lasting changes, positive changes, happen when the citizens, like you, like all of you, because you're interested citizens.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, our next candidate, Mike Simpson.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us and for letting us into your group and to listen to what we have to say. My wife and I are Grovites. We live right on Grand Avenue. We get to watch the comings and goings. Unlike a lot of people, or like a lot of people, my involvement in public government is, in the past, I showed up and I tried to vote for the person who would sit in that chair and do the job the way I would do. Because honestly, I have a job to do. I have to pay my bills, I have to feed my family, and I don't really have time to take off a day and go sit in a council chamber and wait for my 2 minutes to stand at the podium. Not many of us do. But in the recent years, it seems like more and more that 2 minutes has meant less and less. We have to hope that the decision hasn't been made before you even put your name on the list. And the most frustrating thing that I've seen in the last decade, 15 years, is how often the phrase unforeseen problems comes up. Right now, the Rickenbacker Causeway is closed because of the unforeseen problems of an 87-year-old bridge crumbling and needing repair popped up overnight. We've been growing and building the city without much control, and all of a sudden, traffic is everywhere. Almost to the point where each and every one of us unconsciously program it into our schedule. We go, oh, we're going to be leaving at 9 o'clock, we have to add an extra 30 minutes because we're going to be on 9 o'clock. But these are unforeseen problems. Just 2-3 months, no. Now it's been 4 or 5 months ago. We granted a lease to somebody to put a restaurant in the Glass House in Peacock Park. And those folks haven't been in that building in 3 months. I can guarantee you it's because of the unforeseen problems, because that building wasn't built to be a restaurant. And they're trying to figure out how they're going to meet the code that a restaurant has to have. A code that existed when they asked for the lease. Our city isn't facing unforeseen problems. People are ignoring the problems because they want the result they want. And as a citizen, it annoyed me to see these things in the paper over and over again, to see them on TV over and over again. I sit at home and watch the city commission rebroadcast it on television and yell at the TV like it's a football game. Because these are things that we should know. We should ask the questions ahead of time. And after year of waiting for somebody who I felt would do the job the way I would do it, and not finding them, this year I decided I would volunteer to do the job. I'm hoping you agree with me, and I'd be love to talk to each and every one of you about it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Seth Sklary.
Hi. Great crowd we have, good candidates we have, but you need to make a decision as to who you're going to choose. And I've been in the Grove for 47 years. I've attended hundreds of commission meetings, zoning meetings, civic meetings. I started in the early 70s. We had a group called Bikeways Now, and we created all of the bikeways all around the Daytime. There was only one bikeway out there. It was the one on Main Highway. But we expanded that, we set up design standards, and we did a lot. But there's a lot more to do. We need to make Miami more friendly to pedestrians, bicyclists, joggers, dog owners. The city seems to have a passion for wanting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, some say it's inevitable, but we have to look at our quality of life. How is that affecting our quality of life? How is it affecting our quality of life to have thousands, tens of thousands of people in District 2 coming in and moving in? How does that affect traffic? Well, you go down to Brindle in the morning or in the afternoon, it's gridlock. Total gridlock. It doesn't move. South Dixie Highway, the same way. It barely moves. You know, we came up with a plan 30 years ago to double that Dixie Highway. And it was kind of dismissed and nobody thought about it. But where's all this traffic going to go? Where's it going to come from? Where's it? You know, it's impossible. They shut down Metro Rail this afternoon for half an hour and had 2,000 or 3,000 people just jammed up, standing around with it. They couldn't get anywhere. They had to send a load of buses to move them around. So we have to deal with all these problems. And the city commission doesn't have a great deal of foresight. They don't look to the future. They don't look to what's going to happen, how it's going to affect us. And I want to do something about it. I want to look at it for you and for us. So please vote for Seth Sklary, City Commission, District 2. Thank you.
Our final speaker in this segment of this evening's program is Lori Woods.
Thank you all for coming out. It's very inspiring to see so many people that will spend the evening listening to candidates and consider what opportunities and what changes that really we have.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Can we move it up? Sorry. Is that better? No. Here? Yes. Okay. Thank you. And I moved into Miami 5 years ago. I came across the country from California and actually chose to move to this area. It was a place that my family was excited about. We looked at the opportunities, and we also looked at a town that was very transitional. And at the time, in 2010, was affordable for a regular person to get into a small business. And we ended up finding a restaurant downtown, got an apartment across the street, and slowly built a business with our community's involvement. And through those times, we noticed a lot of changes were not happening as quickly as we had expected from previous transitional areas that we had lived in. So I ran for the Downtown Miami Partnership Board and was elected 4.5 years ago, and have spent that time making improvements throughout the city with both residents and businesses, and looking for ways that we can better our quality of life. I serve on the board of the Quality of Life Committee. We meet with police officers, downtown ambassadors. We work connectively with the Downtown Development Authority in trying to make downtown Miami a better place and reaching out into all of the communities. One of the issues that I'm finding is that that's not enough. I truly find that we can do more. I think that real change comes from the bottom up, not from the top down. I think it's time for government to take a seat at our table, not just invite us to theirs. Prosperity ends conflict, and how do we create prosperity and ensure our future, our children's future, our grandchildren's future, and beyond? We have a real gap in our community. We are very lagging when it comes to equal wages comparatively across the nation. And when we have wonderful development, we need to ensure that that development is going back into our community, and that our children are not having to move outside of our area, and that we can keep multi-generational families together. And I'm really concerned with the way that things are moving forward.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the formal presentation part of our evening. Now we're going to have our question and answer. Let me just repeat for the candidates as well as everyone in the audience. Every member of the audience is entitled to ask one question. We ask that you try and be as succinct as possible. You may ask your question and direct it to one candidate. Candidates, your answers are going to be limited to 2 minutes. At the end of the 2 minutes of your response, if you go that long, we will yell it the same way, time, and that will be the end of your response. So if you choose to come up here to the microphone, I'll just go around to the audience. When I just point at you, please feel free to stand up, state your name, and ask your question. All right? So who has a question? Yes, Len.
I can tell you the definition, and in many areas there are. Smart growth recognizes at all times that growth and development will happen. But that growth and development that is recognized by that seeks that it be a controlled development and a development that requires 10 items. I can mention 3. Appropriate transportation. Transportation choices, not just one, several choices. Choices for housing, not just one expensive. You have to have affordable workforce housing in there. And the other one is one of the 10 is green spaces, park. That's exactly what smart growth is all about. Thank you.
Feel free to raise your hand. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Sandy Whalen, and I have a question for Mrs. Sarnoff. Many of your contributors are developers. I happen to live next to a huge development by the Related Group. We have a lot of problems with them. We have a hard time getting the city to help us out with their violations. How are you going to distance yourselves from people who contribute so heavily to your campaign?
I have contributions from developers, I have contributions from business owners in District 2, and I have contributions from residents. So I have I call it the 3 legs of the stool that have contributed to my campaign. said, if you're having problems, what building do you live by?
Paraiso, it's Paraiso on the Bay, one Paraiso, it's 5 55-story buildings going in one big area.
And what's happening?
Well, they've had violations of their noise waivers, they've flooded the streets, they've put their silt into the streets, into the pipes so that they're plugged, so every time it rains like today, it becomes a lake.
Yeah.
The other day, they say it was a broken water main. Well, there's a broken water main because they've been putting their heavy things on top of the street. So the water main is now broken, and then all of their silt went into the bay. Had to call Durham.
As commissioner, I have no problem with helping you out. You're the resident. You are the ultimate customer. Developer, we've personally been sued by related group, George Perez, over the Mercy Hospital project. So we're here for the residents. Thank you.
Who else has a question, please? Yes, sir, it's a turquoise shirt.
I want to direct this to Ken.
If you would, your name first, sir.
Michael Lake.
And who is your question for?
Ken.
Okay.
I, too, am a resident of Coconut Grove for 32 years. I moved down here for the bay and the scenery you see outside. And over the last administration, shall I say, it seems as though all the businesses want to get moved out. They want to move the businesses out. They want to shut down and make more green space. Took all the parking away out of the Coconut Grove Dinner King Marina area. I happen to own a dinner cruise boat here, the only one in South Miami that operates public and corporate events for all these fancy hotels. And now from behind scenes, we're told one thing, but it seems behind scenes we're being told something else. My question is, where do you stand on the businesses that are operating in the Grove, in Coconut Grove, in respect to this massive condo construction, which is going to add thousands and thousands of cars, which the traffic is going to be a disaster, and those people won't want to drive a truck. So where do you stand on the business end of this?
Right, thank you. What was your name again?
Michael.
Michael, thank you, I appreciate that question. I am a business owner. I started in business from when I was very young, and it's what I know, and I know the good kind of business. What I do recognize is that there's nobody in City Hall right now who is an entrepreneur or a business owner in that sense. And nobody speaks for small business in City Hall right now. If you speak from the position of an attorney or a career politician, your decisions are based on what squeaky wheel do you have to keep quiet, or what do you have to do to not get in trouble or stay elected. But a business owner comes with a different mentality. Not only is he more of a problem solver, he's more sympathetic to the needs of small business. And I don't think anybody is sympathetic enough to what's going on in small business in the Grove right now. Look at the paper on the windows as you drive down Main Highway. It is so hard to start a business here and be successful. It's so hard to get through. And who is the enemy? You're so excited, you've rented your spot, you've raised your money, and boom, you hit the city. It's almost like they're working against you. And in the particular case you're talking about, I can only speak to speculation of what it appears to be developer-driven changes that are changing the facade of the Grove. Don't you feel the Grove slipping away from us right now? It's always been a place of change, but right now I feel like it's losing its soul this time around. And what's happening with this development, and the various developments, I mean there's many you could talk about, but we're creating a supply and a demand at the same time that doesn't organically exist. It's not growing that way naturally. It's being forced in there. And that's a big experiment that may or may not fail on the developer's hands. How we all suffer, I'm not looking forward to that. So I want to be a part of the good decision-making processes that prioritizes small business. Let big development be at the table, but they cannot control the table.
Yes, I have a question.
Could you state your name, please?
Sorry, my name is Prather McKinnon.
Can everyone hear? Loud as each candidate?
Yeah. My question to you is, I've done some research and I see that you have not voted, excuse me, in the last 13 years of the city elections. Is there a reason for that?
Yes. That is a very good question. I can express what she said. She's done some research and she sees that I am not a high-quality voter, that I haven't voted in the municipal elections in the past. And she's absolutely right. I am 100% guilty of being the apathetic public that had no idea I had a place in local politics for years. Where was I? I was running my business, I was raising my family, and I was very jaded by the whole process. I would see what's going on and just didn't think that my vote would make a difference. I didn't think there was anything going to stop the machine. And it was only when I did get involved. And this is my neighbors as well. A lot of them were not regular voters. And when the park issue, when something lands in your lap, when you get that call, you never know when it's going to happen in your life. Am I guilty? Absolutely. I voted in all the presidentials, but no, I was not active in the municipals. I did not see my place, but now I absolutely do. When I got stung by an issue, I realized that the neighbors can make a difference. Not just by voting, but through activism, through getting involved. And you can bet, I'm involved from here on. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Bill Pollock. I have a question for Mr. Russell. Mr. Russell, you spoke a moment ago about small business, but in April, you said you would not implement the giant innovation LED tower, but at the July 9th City Commission meeting, you changed your position by saying that the city should move forward with this project and that the city is in a quote-unquote pickle. Why the change in your position?
I absolutely did not change my position, or I did not intend for it to sound that way. Yes, I spoke on both Spanish TV and on the internet and everything that I was, yes, against the Innovation Tower, the LED billboard. I don't think it's a good idea. My point at the July 9th meeting was to talk about the deferral and why the can was being kicked down the road. We weren't there to discuss whether I support it or don't support it. Am I out of time?
No.
Sorry. My position there was to say who's at fault was the process, the commissioners. All the developer wants is a consistent answer from a commissioner. If it's a no, tell me no 6 months ago and I won't go for it. I'll find another way to make money. They do that. But if you lead a developer along and you let them know, hey, this is a good project, I'm behind it, go for it. And then at the 11th hour, because of public outcry, you pull the rug out from that developer, I was simply giving the warning cry that yes, we will get sued. We will get sued by that developer who was acting under a law he understood, under probable encouragement from commissioners. I was not changing my position on the tower itself, just to clarify.
Okay, who else, please? Unfortunately, we're just going to keep moving forward. People have questions. Anyone else in the audience have a question, please? Yes, ma'am. Who would you like to address this to?
Teresa Sarnoff. My
State your
name
name.
is Trina Collins, and at the last meeting of the Village of Center Grove, we discussed the FPL power line. And I'm worried, and I think many members of the audience are worried about FPL digging up, stalling traffic, putting those power lines down. Is that a real goal, or can it be kicked down the road?
The city actually has a lawsuit going with FPNL right now. They're one of the last holdouts of the cities that filed suit. So I think it's a huge mistake to have the towers, Tower of Power, coming down right through our neighborhoods. And I would like to see us continue to fight it. Nuclear power is only 17% of FPNL's output, total energy output. And so it would, coming down our neighborhoods, it's 100% of our quality of life coming through there. So I don't think that's a fair exchange. Thank you.
candidates, this is your opportunity. I'm sure there must be some questions that some of you have on your mind. Yes, sir.
This is addressed to
Your name?
Nick Katz. Ken, you live in the Grove. You have a lot of accessibility to parks that have baseball fields, big grass spaces. But where I live in Brickell and in downtown, the parks seem to be underutilized. They're a lot like Museum Park is just a big wasteland of grass. There's not really any activities for kids like yours to play or do anything. What's your vision for improving the parks in downtown Miami, public spaces for activities like skateboarding or rock climbing or baseball, basketball, things like that?
Thank you for asking. Sorry to be monopolizing any time here. Parks, of course, are very important to me, and they should be important to this city. A recent study showed that out of 70 of the largest cities in the country, we're in the lower half in terms of green space per capita. And that's not good. It's deceptive because you see all the trees in the grove, but that doesn't equate to green space that we can use for our kids. And in a congested area, it's very important that the impact fees from new development really go toward what they're supposed to go toward. And one of those things is parks. And so parks in downtown should get a big boost over the next coming years as all of this new construction is happening there. There's things that are happening there. The Underline is a great example of a green space that's going to have multi-function use for many reasons. There may be a skateboard park there. There may be a water park there, a music park there. They have the most incredible outreach that I've seen to the public of including our opinions in what we want to see in a park. I would love to see the city follow the Underline's example in terms of getting input from the residents in that neighborhood. What do you want in your park and what do you want to use it for? And that's what I would do.
Thank you. Who else? Peter?
My name is Peter Ehrlich. I have a question for Grace Solaris. Ms. Solaris, I know on June 30th you spoke at Miami-Dade County Commission in opposition to LED billboards. Can you tell us why you're opposed to billboards, particularly the 63-story LED billboard tower that's proposed?
Why I oppose the LED? Well, as you very well know, I've been opposing the actual billboard legislation in the city for a long time. The innovative tower is absolutely and totally wrong. Not only that, it is totally illegal under the code. So, Russell, your fear that the city is going to be sued, don't be fearful. Because the code of the city, upon which Mr. Simpkins actually filed his request to do the innovation tower, is illegal because it's violative of the county code. Commissioner Sarnoff on the dais agreed that day that we were all there and said, we have to agree with Mr. Melton. He's been telling us all along that our code is illegal. So as a result, he wouldn't have a prayer in the lawsuit, Mr. Russell, on that one. But yes, I am opposing it because it is illegal. It is an abomination. It's going to kill the quality of the people who have invested in downtown. It's going to kill the value of the apartments that were built in downtown because nobody's going to be wanting to live next to a tower that is going to be blinding to them all the time. So the disaster for everyone. Thank you, Peter.
Yes, sir.
My name is Justin. I work in Living Grove. I have a question for Ms. Sarnoff, which is, I just want to know what your affiliation with the Downtown Development Authority is, and depending on that affiliation, can you be impartial and when it comes to the responsible development in Miami?
I'm not really understanding your question. My affiliation or the commissioner's affiliation?
Your affiliation, if you were elected commissioner, what's your current affiliation with the Downtown Development Authority? And if you were elected, what would your affiliation
sitting commissioner has a seat on the DDA. And as far as development, with the DDA is there to do the cosmetic, make sure that work on traffic. They aren't into the actual development of it, with the developers.
In other words, whoever your husband previously had relationships with, could you be impartial to those relationships?
I can be impartial to everything because, and as I stated before, you say that we're close to developers, but we've been sued by a developer. So you make the right choices. You make the choices for the district. Yeah?
Yeah, I want
Thank
you
you.
to give us some time.
Thanks.
Okay, who else has a question? Please, this is your opportunity. We may not get another one right here in Center Grove. Yes, Adler.
Happy Williams from Mr. Russell. How many neighborhoods of District 2 exist and how many neighborhoods exist within Coconut Grove?
Pop quiz. I do not know the answer to your first question. The Coconut Grove is separated into 5 districts by the police, but I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Zone 1, Zone 2, and 4 and 5. But how many neighbors there are in the district, I couldn't tell you offhand, I'm sorry.
Next. Once again, I'm sorry to keep reminding you, but this is your opportunity to ask questions. Please, if you're sitting there wondering how a candidate feels about a particular issue, this is your opportunity. Yes, ma'am.
Joan Mars, I'd like to ask Javier, what is your opinion of the boat show then?
The boat show. Boat show venue.
The boat show venue.
I think the venue as a public space works very well. As a boat show, I think it does a lot of damage to the native habitats that are there. So I would say that I don't like it as a boat show venue. I like it as a public venue for public parks, for using it for the rowing club, for using it for the nature and the natural aspects of it. For the actual boat show, I would say that I'm kind of opposed to that. I don't think it fits there. I don't think it takes a lot of time. I know that there's a lot of pushback also coming back from Key Biscayne. So I think, personally, I'd rather see it as a public space, a public park, but not as a venue for a boat show. I think there's too much environmental impact on it. Thank you.
Next. I'm not going to admonish you again. Yes, sir. Ma'am, I'm sorry, I didn't see back there.
My goodness, I'm Mary Ann, and I have 2 overwhelming questions, but one of them is with regard to...
Mary, can you tell us who the question's for?
For Ken Russell. With regard to code, can you hear me?
Yes.
With regard to code enforcement. Right now, it seems to me that it's a very reactive system, at least with regard to residential neighborhoods, and I live here in Grove. More of the basic potholes of the street question. It seems to me that if a neighbor doesn't call up and identify herself and make known a specific complaint, I see inspectors just drive right by, and there's no proactive code enforcement going on in the residential neighborhoods. I'm talking about vacant lots, garbage piles that are there forever, trash piles, garbage piles that exist the day after pickup, so they're there for another 6 days, vacant homes that people are calling in and out of, homes that have been partially boarded up and the plywood is falling off. How would you go about, in general, taking care of our neighborhoods with regard to these code enforcement issues?
Thank you. Miriam, right? You say your name was?
I'm sorry, Miriam.
Miriam, yeah. No, thank you. That's a very good question because we absolutely have a 100% squeaky wheel reactive system here. And if you let a government get away with that, absolutely, they're not going to move unless they're pushed to move. So when a complaint happens, well, maybe not even when the complaint happens, but when 10 complaints happen, they may address the issue. But are they going to drive by and put the sandwich down and decide to start taking action on something that they don't need to take action on? No, they're not. Where I come from, there's something that doesn't exist in government, and it's called customer service. As a business owner, you don't survive unless you take care of the people who take care of you, who pay your bills, who are your customers. And in this case, the government's the store and the people are the customers. And you need to take care of them. You need to reach out to them and see what their problems are. I've been trying to use the 311 system ever since I started walking, because the things I hear from neighbors are all things that need to be fixed in front of your house. And the system doesn't work. So much less even you're looking for a proactive system, our reactive system doesn't even work very well. So there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to be fixed there.
Thank you. I just want to point out, Miriam, and everyone in the audience, this evening we had Madeline Pacheco, our net officer, here. We afford you that opportunity every 3 months to actually have the person responsible, and that person is required to come to our meetings so that you have access to them. So don't forget to make sure, if you have a problem that Miriam mentioned, that Madeline Pacheco is the one to speak to. Okay, who else has a question, please? Yes, sir.
My name is Gabriel Mendoza. I have a question for Ms. Sarnoff. Last month's financial report indicates you spent over $70,000 with Marin and Sons. The principal owner of that company is a registered lobbyist with the city of Miami and is actually also hired by the developer that's building the LED tower. My question to you, if you are elected commissioner, do you feel there's a conflict of interest? And how will you vote in regards to the LED tower?
I don't feel like there's a conflict because I don't, whereas he is a campaign person, I don't feel I have to vote his way. I vote the way I feel is right. I am against the media tower.
So you
that he is obviously as a client. I'm against that.
So you are against the lobbyist that was hired by the developer that's trying to push the measure?
I'm against the media tower.
Okay. But you don't feel there's a conflict of interest hiring this firm and spending $70,000? This is the same firm that's been hired by a private interest that's trying to push a measure which the incumbent commissioner is currently trying to, I don't know but I'm just
if I'm against the media tower, how is that a conflict with my campaign person?
So you're on record that you're against the media tower?
And I have put that out in email back at, several weeks ago.
Just a question?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Sure, you're welcome.
Okay, who else? Anyone else with a question? Ladies and gentlemen, this is your opportunity. We don't meet again until October. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Peggy Quattro. I want to address it to all of you, but I would like my friend here to answer. Grace. I come from more of an emotional point of view as opposed to logistics. But I did hear, I'm an Oak Grove resident also from the 70s. I've seen it go through a lot of things. I just found out the other day that a lot of the businesses at Mission Plaza, the little Mission, they're out. At the end of this month, they're gone. So these are businesses that we all support. We go, we eat in the restaurants, we get our bikes fixed at the bike shop, we shop, we have a great time. Art gallery there, everything gone. I was told that there was going to be a condo tower put in there. Now, I understood that they couldn't go above 5 stories, and Mr. Sarnoff assured me a couple of years ago that nothing in the world would go over 5 stories. So now, 3 years later, I don't know if that has changed. As commissioner, how watchful will you be on? How watchful will you be on this type of development that's going to tear up Main Highway, Grand Avenue?
Thank you.
And destroy businesses.
Okay, I think in my presentation, I was cut short. I said to you that I was going to be making the community, residents and businesses alike, part of the decision-making process of the government. How I'm going to do that? Because the moment that I get into City Hall, I'm going to create a committee, a smart growth committee, composed of residents and business owners alike, for them to actually review every applicant, every application that is filed with the city. How is that going to happen? Because I am going to request of the city manager, to request from the planning and zoning department, that that whenever there is a project in District 2 of such magnitude or request for zoning changes that will impact the quality of life of that area, that it be given to District 2 so that that committee reviews it before any action is taken by the city. Because we have to, for the first time in our lives, be able to say what goes on in our neighborhood. We cannot continue upzoning without getting the input of the people. So how that is going to happen? You'll have the voice. And when you're going to get more business in the Grove is when we get that trolley down here. And we leave our cars here, and people in the north are going to be able to leave their cars in their homes and come down here and enjoy our area. So I am looking to watch out for this area because it has been somewhat relegated to the end. We may have police officers and a police station in the Grove, but in other areas, it has been actually. I don't want anybody to get up one morning and say, hey, what's going on a block away from me, this building? Will I ever know anybody? Thank you.
Which candidate are you addressing your question to?
Teresa Sarnoff. I wanted to know, I've learned that positive growth and business development results in areas with strong infrastructure, so both local and commercial infrastructure must be very strong to support positive growth. I want to know what you're willing to do for commercial infrastructure growth and like matters like transportation and local.
You want to repeat that one more time, and I'll announce it over the microphone.
What are your plans for?
What are your plans for
Improving the local infrastructure.
improving the local infrastructure?
Essentially, transportation aims to effectively create the positive growth and business development that would result from a strong.
In particular, transportation and positive growth which will result from that.
Transportation is an issue, and we need more options for that. And it's not just about bike lanes, which we need to do, ride sharing with Uber and like. We also need the expanded trolley route, but we also need to think bigger. We need to think about the county following up on the smart traffic lights, which monitor the traffic in 27th Avenue every day. So that's one low-hanging fruit that they can do. And then there's also flexible hours with employers. If we could somehow incentivize employers to, alternate the hours so it'll get some people off the road during rush hour. Okay, thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have 20 more minutes to go, so please, if you have questions, please feel free. Deba?
Yes, I
Understand?
have a question for Ray Solaris. My name is Bela Mann. Ms. Solaris, I have known you now for many, many years, and I've also known that you have fought issues against development that encroach in single-family neighborhoods. But I also know that you have fought many issues at City Hall, because I've seen you at City Hall for so many years. Could you tell me how many issues and what kind of issues have you fought on our behalf at City Hall?
Yeah, mostly have been zoning issues. Development that have been impacting our quality of life. Development that has taken spaces, parking spaces from where we live. Development that was not compatible with the area. I have also fought violations of the charter. I have also fought or represented you there on many occasions on many other issues. There have been so many in the past almost 20 years. Going to City Hall, representing Miami Neighborhoods United, representing the Roads Association. Now I'm involved with the Urban Environment League as well on many issues. All with reference to protecting the quality of life of those of us who live here. I don't believe in people just basing their decisions to build something just by looking at the bottom line, their bottom line. without actually thinking about what kind of an impact they're going to do in the neighborhood around that project. That those people that have been there living for 30 or 40 years, all of a sudden their life is going to be destroyed. So I would like to enumerate an enormous amount of things, but mainly have been quality of life issues on many, many things. If I would have known 20 years ago that I was going to be running for this position, I would have written them all down. But I didn't. I didn't. So, thank you for your question. My question too? No. Oh.
You're now blessed me, Grace. Thank Callahan for Teresa Sarno. Will you answer the same question that Grace just answered? And before that, first your qualifications for this position and the same question that we just answered Grace.
My qualifications for this position is that I listen. I walk door to door across the district since February to listen to everybody's concerns. I'm a bridge builder. I've worked with McMillis House and the City of Miami on the MAP program to bring people and organizations together. I'm also passionate. I worked on the Home Depot, the Mercy Hospital project, and bring back the Playhouse Committee. And I'm also loving. I worked on animal welfare and with the homeless. And more importantly, I'm accessible. My personal cell phone is on all my campaign material.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to know when we're going to...
Your name, sir, please.
Pardon me?
Your name.
Lee Taylor. I don't have to just point it at any particular candidate. I just like all the candidates, any one of the candidates.
Lee, unfortunately, you need to choose one. So pick whichever one you would like. I know it's hard when you don't.
I'll ask the question, then I'll take one. Is that okay?
Done.
When will the planners, ultimately the commission, start collecting the funds that we need to construct parking so that there can be a downtown Coconut Grove? Parking for Coconut Grove downtown, whatever that means, has got to occur on the periphery. That means the city or the parking authority has got to plan for that.
Lee, that's over a minute, so you need to choose a candidate to answer your question.
Ken Russell.
Parking is a tremendous issue. Next to traffic and congestion, parking is one of the things that is most frustrating on a personal level as you're driving around. It's a hindrance to businesses. They can't get what they need. They can't get the customers, and you're going to keep driving. There's zoning issues even in downtown that are eliminating parking requirements at all from new high-rise buildings, which is putting more cars on the streets, trying to find a parking space. So in our neighborhood, in the Grove, absolutely. Periphery parking is absolutely necessary. When are we going to create the fund that's going to make that happen? I don't have the answer for that right now.
Thank you. Who else? Hold on, no, one question per, I'm so sorry. Yep.
Hi, my name is Hector Bruce, and earlier Ms. Palladino said that she was the most qualified candidate, and I'd like to know why. Why do you think that?
For many moons, I've been doing the job for free, for you. I've secured over $1.5 million, a year and a half of my life went down the toilet when the city of Miami dropped the ball, as per usual, on creating and obtaining a new park. My parents almost lost their home to eminent domain when I was a kid. I remember everybody crying, losing their investments. I've been there. When everyone in my neighborhood wanted someone to be their voice, to fight aggressive developers, I got the knock on the door. There I was, making the presentation. I am not for the dog and pony show. I have excellent legislative relationships. I do have a degree in science, by the way. I am a Guild certified musician as well, and I am a businesswoman. They do exist. I will tell you that I have a plan. First of all, in other cities, let me just reiterate this so that you understand that the bar is so low that you just don't know it. In other cities, things get done automatically. By the way, I'm very tech savvy. Things can be put and coordinated and organized so that you no longer have to fight like in the Stone Age and ask and beg for potholes and asphalt and all that stuff. It's not necessary. Why are we still using paper? Why can't I pay my taxes online like West Palm Beach does? People, wake up. The bar is so low that I'm going to make their heads spin when I get in there. And guess what? They don't want me standing here in front of you. I'm the one they don't want. I've been involved my whole life. I just didn't wake up in the morning and say, guess what? I'm going to run for commissioner today. That's not what I'm about. If you want to listen to the archives of the experts that I have brought on every single cause, Miami After Dark waiting.
Okay. Any other questions? We have about 13 minutes to go, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. I'm here.
Rafael Gutierrez, question was great.
Yes, sir.
A couple weeks ago, I was at a neighborhood get-together, and the commissioner race was a topic of discussion. Your name came up.
What was the topic of discussion?
The commissioner race.
Okay,
District
yeah,
2.
okay.
We're talking about all of it. So your name came up, and a couple of the young voters said to me, well, you know, she's anti-business. She's going to set us back. So I want us to put it to the record. What is exactly your position when it comes to business growth?
Absolutely. I told you at the beginning, I believe I did, that the reason why we want the trolley to be extended throughout the district is because it's going to be a commerce. It's going to help the entire district and the small businesses. Because think about it. If you have people from downtown Miami, from Edgewater, from Midtown, from Brickell coming down here, the Grove is going to benefit enormously. The small businesses have actually been leaving this area because they cannot afford. Why? Because they don't have the business. They don't have the people coming here. Same thing is going to happen the other way around because people from here will go. Downtown Miami needs help. The small businesses in downtown Miami needed enormous help. I believe that trolley can do it. One thing that I've been thinking about, do I have time? Yeah. Good. One thing that I've been thinking about is having electric cars. I just got a golf cart, electric. And it's a great method of transportation. But getting the electric golf carts or a little bit bigger and having serve the high-rises. Well, get them in there and bring them to the main route of the trolley so they don't even have to walk. And then it'd be more of an incentive to actually, around the entire district, subsidize each other's businesses. There's no question they need help, and I intend to give them that help. I've seen what happened here in the Grove. How they've just taken off and left. Bed Bath & Beyond or Bath & Body Works and Lord & Taylor and Barnes & Noble, and it's just like a ghost city. That cannot keep on happening in the Grove. It can't. Now do everything in my power to help out.
John Nord, I've lived in the Grove my whole life, longer than I care to admit. We have a waterfront here. You can see it out there. You go to the waterfront, Baltimore, Boston, Camden, Maine, buildings there because you can't use it 9 months out of the year. Our waterfront is usable 12 months out of the year, and we have very little access to it. I'd like to ask Ken Russell if he could address that issue.
Thank you, John. We have a waterfront master plan, and it's been many years in the process. And a couple of the things that they're trying to do to increase waterfront access, some are controversial, and this is a big waterfront community. So there's a lot of sides to this position. You know, to move the sailing club, for example, that could upset a lot of people. That could open up more waterfront access from, not the sailing club here, but the sailing center, from Kennedy Park, and create more access for people to go in there. But we've got a lot of people to work with, and that's why we have a waterfront advisory board. That's why the master plan was originally approved, but then changed and then approved again. I think we're getting to the point now where the implementation should come into place. Whether we're going to get that full waterfront access straight across, I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm a big advocate for waterfront access. I mean, I've been involved in stand-up paddleboard races for charity for about 7 years, where all we're looking for is a way to get in the water, you know? And so that's very important to me. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have a question? I hate to sound like an auctioneer, but we're going to do a going, gone any minute, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir.
My question is for Ken Russell.
Name, please.
My name is Bruno.
Last name, Bruno?
Benedict.
Thank you.
Okay, government on all levels is just notorious for listening to the voices of the loudest, which usually are developers and donors and lobbyists. For the first time in history, I think everybody with a smartphone or a laptop now has their soapbox and a voice to go with it. But at the same time, governments they're always 10 steps behind technology. Ms. Sarnoff mentioned there's something like Uber, but from what I know, it's the commissioners that have actually been the biggest roadblock in Uber being legal in Miami. How do you plan on using technology to, first off, appeal to a broader audience, so people like yourself who don't know they have a voice? How are you going to reach out to more people using technology?
I was actually working on a startup before I got into this venture, and that put that on ice. And I was reaching out to a lot of venture capitalist companies locally, incubators, and a lot of startups. And Miami has this little buzzing hive that's starting to happen now, where we can become a community of new technology ideas. And I think it's really important that government embrace technology and let private enterprise solve some of the issues that government is famously not able to do. And these are transportation issues, communication issues, monitoring issues for people to see what's going on in the city real time. These are apps and things that I think we should absolutely encourage, and I would be behind it. I met with Mayor Jimenez, and he calls himself the tech mayor, and he may actually have Uber on his phone. I'm actually in favor of that, and I'm in favor of a lot of technological ideas to help us out.
Okay, last call. Anyone else with any questions for any of the candidates? Yes, Paul.
Paul, man. I've looking at the faces up there. I've been following proceedings at City Hall for 15 years that I've been in Miami now. And I know that two people on that dais have spent hours and hours at City Hall fighting that development. But the other 7 faces, I don't believe I have ever seen at City Hall, standing at the podium, actually making a case for the neighborhood.
Paul, you have a question.
The question is directed to Mr. Russell. How much time have you spent at the podium in the past 15 years fighting for your neighborhood?
Thank you. I'd like to say I can field several questions tonight, and very fairly, I would say, bringing out my inexperience in this situation. It's true. I've even said it myself. This wasn't my career path. I'm not a career politician. I wasn't a career activist. I was running a business. I was raising my family. But do those qualifications then transfer over? I'm sorry, I don't mean to digress. To answer your question, very little time. I spoke at commission last week, and that was a new one for me. You know? But not always is the person who's been in, I'll bring it to business terms, the company the longest, the most qualified to run the company. Sometimes you need to bring new blood into the company. You know what? I have a lot of inexperience, it's true. I have inexperience in pay for play. I have inexperience in backdoor deals. I have no experience in lack of transparency. These are things that make an outsider a fresh voice that can come in and help shake up the ethics in City Hall. I am absolutely guilty of not being involved in the past, but I am here and I'm ready to get involved and help you from here forward. It's actually my hope to create a code of ethics for the City of Miami Commissioners. Bet you didn't even know they don't even have one. Are you surprised though? We're not. There's so many things we need, and I'm so excited to get involved, and I will learn and surround myself with people that know much more than me. Hopefully all of you in here will help me get in there and get things done. Thank you.
Unfortunately, one question per audience member. Is there anyone else who'd like to ask a question before we put an end to the Q&A? Before we put an end to this, just so you know, most of the candidates have said that they will stick around for a little while if you'd like to ask questions after this is over. On behalf of the Center Grove Neighbors Association, we would like to thank everyone who came tonight. This is what it's all about. Get educated, find out who the best candidate is, stay involved. This is why people pay attention to us, because Coconut Grove votes. Thank you all for being here.